Hey, welcome with the Black Agenda Network here, broadcasting from Fresno, California. Right here on the Golden West Side. I have a good show for you tonight. Today, we want to thank all of you from across the world, locally and internationally, that's on my Facebook Live. A lot of and very important information. I'm sure that we're not the only community that's going through it. But at the same time, we want to share about the injustice of things that's going on here. Historically, a black community, and gentrification, a lot of other things are going on. And I would say, Sister Aline, who is our co-host, we have the experts here today.
Yes, we do. We certainly do. And I want to take this opportunity to welcome the women of Heat, as I call them. I've known them for a long time, so you all have to excuse me while I introduce Sister Diane, Sister Bobby, and Sister Brunette. And if they want to give you their full names when they introduce themselves and tell you a little bit about their background with Heat, I'm going to allow them to do that. But don't blink and don't get up and get any water or anything, because you might miss something. You have to go back and watch it on YouTube. Because this is good, y'all. Don't mess up.
Yeah, this is very historical at this point. And we just like you to listen and do some strategic thinking. If you have questions, type them in. I'll get those questions back to Heat Group. And hey, so let's get started. Let's rock and roll.
Which, are we going to start at the end with Sister Diane, or are we going to start down here with Sister Brunette?
We can start with me. My name is Diane Smith, and I came into Heat a few years after. I used to go to the meetings periodically, and then I became full-fledged.
Okay. Excellent.
My name is Bobby Parks. I've been with Heat ever since my sister Brunette dropped the flyer on our door.
All right.
And I attended the meeting, which was a community meeting, and it was being introduced as do you want to lose your homes?
Oh, whoa.
And that drew my attention.
Absolutely.
So I've been with Heat ever since 2004. This year, and this year making 20 years.
My name is Brunette, and I'm with the Heat. And as Diane and Bobby was stating, we've been doing this for about 20 years.
20 years.
Yeah, and it's just to inform our community as to what is taking place in our community. So that's basically what we're all about.
Okay. Well, this is very important because, as Reverend Harris has said, this is a historically black area. I know my parents came to Fresno in '48, built their house, finished building it in 1950, and they were redlined into an area known as Edison Heights. And so housing issues are very important when you start talking about gentrification. I get things in the mail every single day and phone calls on my cell phone. Do you want to sell your home? Well, they want to pay rock bottom prices, clear out the neighborhood, get new yuppie, buppy, whatever's, white people who are looking for jobs on the high-speed rail and whatnot, or at the FCC City College West campus. But a lot of us want to hold on to our homes. That is how you create wealth in this country. You create wealth by owning land. This is one way that you have generational wealth. So, starting at the end, Sister Diane, why don't you tell us about the document that you all are so well versed on? And I'm talking about the Southwest Pacific Plan, and I know you all know about the Fresno General Plan as well.
I think Brunette probably can do that better than me. Because she will finish anything that we get before the rest of us even get started.
That's true. That's true. Okay, well, listen close, y'all, because this ain't no joke.
We got this Southwest Fresno Specific Plan. They adopted it in October the 26th of 2017. And when we got this document, it was almost like pulling teeth because they wouldn't give us information about our area. like they're supposed to, and they're still doing the same thing.
Yes.
I mean, they refuse to give it to us. We have to fight almost tooth and nail to get the information. So basically, there is some insulting parts in this Southwest Fresno specific plan. So if you guys would pull it up, it's called the Southwest Fresno Specific Plan. It's the final plan. It was adopted on October the 26th, 2017. So we'll go to, let's say we'll go to 1-. We want to try to keep you guys up with us, because we got to move kind of fast with the time that we have. And 1-7. And it talked about the planning related document adopted by the city. And it's the Southwest Fresno General Neighborhood Renewal Area Redevelopment Plan. This has been in plan since 1969. And within this paragraph, they tell you that it was adopted in 1969 and amended several times. And most recently was in 2010. So they didn't include our community, never asked our community anything.
And then maybe so.
And so these are plans that the city set in place. Then on 1-10, is table 1-3, and you go down to, it's the ninth risk factor, as they call it. They say adults ages 18 plus who did not graduate from high school or received a GED. Southwest Fresno, we are 43.7%. And what you must understand, they took us out of the equation of the rest of what we're about to give you. They say Southwest Fresno, 43.7%. The city of Fresno is 24.7%. Fresno County is 26.3%, and the state of California is 18.7%.
Wow.
So we're taken out of that. So then on 1-12, it talks about the natural environment. And so they're saying that in the second paragraph, the planned area ranks as one of the most polluted areas in California, scoring in the 90 and 99 percentile statewide for communities statewide that are disproportionately burdened by multiple sources of pollution, with the population characteristics that make them more sensitive to pollution. Air pollution, toxic site, former landfills, and other environmental pollutants contribute to this poor ranking. This is Southwest Fresno that they're, because we are the planned area.
Right.
Then we'll go to 1-14. They tell us about limited food and beverage choices. They say poor health is often due to the inability to afford or access healthy food. Poor diet can lead to poor mental health, chronic disease, and premature death. Then they tell us, it says, approximately 21% of Southwest Fresno adults are food insecure, with a significantly above the average of 8.4%. So then they go down to, we get to the next one. Southwest Fresno is considered a food desert.
Wow.
And,
I know, I was just thinking, wow, and we're sitting in the agricultural capital of the world, but Southwest Fresno is a food desert. Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
but this is what they're stating in their paperwork. So along with that on 1-10, when they put us in that 43 percentile, separate from everything else, separate from the county, separate from the city, separate from the state, then they say low education attainment, household income, and poverty. Educational levels are a significant predictor of income and the ability to make healthier choices, including diet, exercise, medical care, and other choices. that support health. In Southwest Fresno, 45% of residents ages 25 and older have not completed high school.
Wow.
Now to kind of break that down, you know, after all of that, this is the information that is black and white.
Mm-hmm.
This is what they're saying about our community.
Wow.
And they want to use what they have printed in the book.
Mm-hmm.
And what Brunette just read about the 43%. This is saying that, again, let us just think, we are a very small community, but out of the whole state of California, now, anyone that knows California or live in California know that that's a pretty large state. But you focus in on a community, and said that out of this whole the state of California, we are 43.7%, more or less ignorant, according to their paperwork of educational standard attainments. We cannot, actually make any definite, we don't even know how to plan a diet.
Right.
We don't know how to dress.
Wow. And our area is full of pollution, and that seems to be okay with the city. I mean, since they made these amendments without our input, I should say.
Correct.
That's our plight and our fight, is that the community has not, from the beginning, has not been involved
Right.
with making any decisions based upon what this Southwest Pacific Plan is all about, according to,
Right.
federal
Yes.
regulations and all, and there are community block grant monies and all.
And that's what,
The community has to be involved.
for a community as small as West Fresno was, and Rev remembers this too, I mean, as a youngster, as a tadpole, and I wish I had brought the sheet. We had over 100 black businesses on the west side when I was coming up. I'm 66, and I remember all the different stores and dry cleaners and things like that. I don't remember a movie theater, but we had everything else, and most of it was mom and pop. And then it seemed like redevelopment came in and model cities, and suddenly everything is gone. Everything is gone. And, it's heartbreaking.
Okay, but it would then take us back to 1-7, where this was already in play when they had the renewal area as a redevelopment plan in 1969.
Wow. So it was always their intent. I want to make sure I understand this. It was always the city's intent.
This is what we need
to
the
choke our
community and the
community off.
viewers as a whole to understand that it's not only, the community itself, but it is happening all over. But we are focusing on what's happening here.
Right.
And so in 1969, that meant that during the 60s and 70s, and then you mentioned the, how that they came in with all the plans. But as of the latter part of 69 and the 70s, that's when they began to take out a lot of businesses. And it was predominantly black businesses.
And they did just that. And so now it's 2024. We've got, what have we got? We've got 25 black churches or more. We've got liquor stores on every other corner. And we have one shopping center. And that's it. One shopping center. No dry cleaners, no banks. We had a B of A on Fresno Street. That got taken away. So, I'm just trying to figure out how it is that all these other minorities, as white folks call it, come in after us. The Latinos, the Hmongs, and all of that, and seem to they have greater numbers, that's for sure. But they also are gaining political power, which we don't seem to have. We had more in the 70s, when people like Joe Williams was at EOC, Jim Aldridge was running for city council, Joe Williams was at EOC. So I'm trying to figure out what it is that we can do now. I mean, joining Heat is a great thing to do, and y'all should definitely do that, because these sisters know their stuff. These are warriors. Make no mistake about that. So,
Can I add something? Just add something real quickly. And as you can see back on 1/7 when Bobby was talking about the neighborhood plan that they did in 1969, and they continuously amended it. When
Right.
this was brought to, and you know, as you said, he tries to stay on top of things. So it was almost a year before we knew that this thing was in play. And when we found out, we demanded from our city council person that it be open to the public.
right.
And what people need to understand is your city council, your mayor, those are the people that, the reason why there was not real community involvement is they hand selected the people they wanted to be on this committee.
Okay.
And so by the time we came to the table, it was like a table like this. They were at the table, we were sitting on the back, basically not being invited in. And during one of the meetings, the city, when the council, the people that were on that committee said they wanted to do a certain thing, the city told them, no, that stays just the way it is.
Oh.
So when they said they came to us with a clean slate, this document shows you it didn't come to us with a clean slate. It started way back in 1969.
Right.
And then when you talk about redevelopment coming in, and that's why West Fresno used to be called the Golden West Side, because we had a flourishing community. We had economy. And if we didn't have it right here, we had it in Chinatown, which was considered at that time part of West Fresno. And then you had all the stores and stuff right downtown, and then they moved those out
Yes.
to the north end of
Yeah.
Fresno also. So they took, systematically, things were removed from downtown, and then slowly but surely they started doing what they did to Chinatown.
Yes.
And then the redevelopment came in and said, we're gonna do all these things, and these businesses are gonna come back, and
Right.
these businesses ended up going out and never being brought back, which is what brought us to the situation that we're in now, where when you say blight, the city deliberately created more blight to get
Right.
more federal dollars to supposedly eliminate blight, but as you can see, we've been blighted more
Yes.
since all this started. Then where did the money go that was supposed to help change the situation? That did not happen.
No, and I do remember when they were fighting for that food max, that there was questions about where was all the money that was supposed to come and enhance West Fresno that got siphoned off, and there was a lawsuit, and suddenly, poof, the lawsuit was gone, and everybody just went their separate ways. So I don't know what happened with that, but it's just like Darius Assumi, who was the chairperson of the board of directors at Community Hospital, who siphoned all those millions of dollars from community downtown Fresno that would serve Southwest Fresno to build Clovis Community Hospital. And this is what the city of Fresno has been doing systematically, from what I'm understanding, from what you all have laid out. And it started with their plan in 1969.
Well, what happened with the store, that, I attended one of the meetings, and I got put out of the meeting. Because I told all of them that was at the meeting, I said, do you know what you're doing? Because it was only a few people, and I found out about it. It was only a few people. That Food Max that's sitting there now, it wasn't Food Max. It was called something else. It was another
Food for Less.
Food for Less. Then they changed it to Food Max. That was an insult for the simple reason That's how we got to be part of the Tower District.
Correct.
They pulled in the Tower District in order for us to have that grocery store here.
Wow.
And see, that was the problem. Once they did that, District 3 now reaches all the way out past Ashland. That's just how big District 3 is. It has some, little curves and whatever. But see, the insulting part is a lot of people don't realize in West Fresno, Kearney Boulevard is also involved. You have what they call two magna cores.
Okay.
One is over here off of Martin Luther King and Walnut.
Okay.
You're putting housing, you're putting stores, you're putting retail, you're putting in gas stations, you're putting in movie theaters,
Right.
you're putting in parking. That little area cannot hold that. Walnut is a two-way lane, and it is a close lane.
Yeah.
You cannot put that stuff over there and not widen those streets. You take out our community because it has to be a four-way lane.
Correct.
You have to accommodate everything that you're putting in there.
That's right.
Then it has to connect to the one off of White's Bridge that they're gonna put over by Kearney Boulevard. The same identical thing.
Okay.
They're putting in housing, they're putting in retail. That's to supply 180 freeway that runs in front of that. Those two magna core have to connect. So you're talking about widening out Marks all the way into Jensen. Jensen has to be widened into a six-way lane.
Correct.
You have to accommodate
Correct.
everything that you're talking about doing. Kearney Boulevard is gone because you have to widen Kearney Boulevard in order to have the retail. And a lot of people, it's in their paperwork. You have on page 5-5, you have bicycle lanes going through people's homes. Look at those bicycle lanes.
Wow, that's true. That is true.
It's on 5, if you pull it up, it's on 5-5. You have bicycle lanes going through people's homes. People live in these homes where you got these bicycle lanes going. Then
Wow.
they talk about, when you talk about the agriculture, they phased out North Avenue.
Yeah.
See North Avenue here? That's on 5-6. North Avenue's community is phased out.
It's totally gone.
It's gone.
That was a big part of West Fresno.
Yes, North Avenue. How do you phase out a community like that?
You know, this is, people talk about what's evil and they want to talk about Nazis and Adolf Hitler. This is evil right here.
Sure.
To take a historic area that's traditionally black, and we understand here in Fresno that it used to be Armenian, and then it used to be Japanese, and then it used to be something else. And if you go to Edison and you look at the graduation pictures, you can see the graduation photos of all these different classes and how the neighborhood changed. But what these sisters are talking about is the evil strangulation of an area that black people made golden, the Golden West Side. So, and it's just like the other black towns that Rev's always talking about. We have over 30 black townships in different parts, and they got squashed. Why? Because the white man got jealous, and he did not want us to succeed. And so this is what these ladies are talking about, and they have been in the fight and been in the trenches, talking about block grants, you know, talking about green spaces. And when I say about the green spaces and the air pollution, I'm talking about the new Amazon warehouse and the new Ulta warehouse that's over there that the city said, well, we're not going to grandfather in anything else. But our city councilman, Miguel Arias, gave the okie doke, and now all of that stuff is over there, and the planning commission could care less. They don't care about West Fresno.
Yeah, but the other thing that people need to understand is when you talk about the agriculture on 4-12, It's called Complete Neighborhood Objective. In the second paragraph, they're stating, as Southwest Fresno transition from its agricultural and industrial roots, residential neighborhoods will be designed in a manner that support health and wellness. You're getting rid of agriculture.
Right.
And the sick part about it is a lot of people do not know that their agriculture is going to be gone. And this is what we're saying. So far as the green space, it really don't matter if it's green, orange, or whatever it is. Their plans is we're not going to be here.
Yes. Yes.
We're not going to be here. And the sick part about it is they take some of our people whose names that's on the front of it. I'm not the steering committee. Thomas Braggs, Alex Berglinger, whatever how you pronounce his name. Shanice Childress, Esther, what's that name? Kirk C. Kravitz, Mary Curry, Deb Darden. These are people. Sylvester Hall, Tate Hill, Magdalene Lewis, Eric Payne. These are people that's in our community that sit on the steering committee, and they will admit they were part of this. You're taking our community out because there's no way in the world you can put two magnet cords and anybody with common sense know that. And you got bicycle lanes. There's no way for you to do that without widening the streets.
Wow.
And anybody that's been in Southwest Fresno know that our streets are narrow.
Very narrow. The only wide streets we have are streets that are as old as West Fresno is old, like Waterman or streets like that you can actually make a U-turn and not have any problems. But most of the streets are just like Sister Harris, Renee Harris is saying, they're very, very narrow. So that means that people are going to lose their homes.
That's it.
Now, I know that I recognize the name Tate Hill as somebody who was perfectly okay with them renaming California Avenue after Cesar Chavez. Oh, well, there's not that many houses that sit on California. I don't see what the problem is. Well, the problem is that if you're saying that you want to honor Cesar Chavez, who was a great leader and all of that, and had meetings at the Edison Social Club that sits on California Avenue, why not have it stay California Avenue and respect our history and our lives and have Cesar Chavez start somewhere down the line? Martin Luther King Boulevard is only 3.5 miles, but Cesar Chavez Boulevard is 11.5 miles. It does not compute, it does not make sense. And these black people that you named off are okay with that. And Debbie Darden is one of them. So, I mean, she's on the Hidden Center Executive Committee that's supposed to be looking after Hidden Center.
Well, let's be for real. Let's be for real. When you go and look at that area, people can pull that area up. Right there on Church Avenue in between Martin Luther King and Walnut, you have that college, you have that housing, you got to put up stoplights. There's no way in the world that Hinton Center can stay there. You have to widen that street.
That's right.
Those people that sits behind that wall that pay for their homes are gone.
They're gone.
There's no way you can stay there.
Can't do it.
And then another insulting part is on 6-8 when they talk about education. In the second paragraph and the last paragraph, they're saying the planned area consists of 2 elementary schools, which is Southwest Fresno, Sunset and West Fresno, 2 middle schools, whether it be Gaston and West Fresno, and no high schools.
No high school.
No high school.
That's what it said.
Yes.
So what does that mean?
It said,
That means Edison's gone.
yeah, but then it goes down to the third paragraph. Edison High School is located outside, but very proximate to the planned area and located within 2 districts. How do you get a school between 2 districts? Whoever heard of that?
No, well, they're making it up as they go along. I mean, you know, and this is how racism works, y'all. This is how how racism works.
But see, that is our fight, is that we need our community people. We need our black churches. We need our black businesses that are still existing. But our churches plays a major, major, major part. Because every church has congregations. And predominantly most of your congregation are residential.
Yes.
People that live right in West Fresno. And I can almost feel it, is that most of them don't even know what this is really happening.
And the thing of it is when you start reading it all, you understand that when you start talking about like the college, specific plan was a catalyst for what the city plans on doing. When they put the college in and they said everything was going to be within the college, but if you stand on those street corners where the college is and you start looking down the street and you start talking about how many people are supposed to be coming to that college,
Right.
those streets, every street in West Fresno is going to have to be enlarged.
Wow.
Because it cannot accommodate what they expect to come to that college.
And aren't they building apartments over there in that area?
Well, they're going to be building homes.
Yes, single.
Oh.
They're going to be building homes and possibly some, but we know that they're building a park,
Right.
a real park that's supposed to be behind it or next to it. Then you
Yes.
have a business family who is building homes in that area. And the thing of it is it took years to try to get them to answer how much these homes were going to be, because they were supposed to be working on this. They didn't even come into this plan with the anti-displacement for the community. There was no anti-displacement in here at all. And then when the issue came up, they brought in some outside people who said they were going to do this and do that, and basically there's no way of reaching them.
Wow.
But the point of it is well, you can come back, which means that you that have homes, your homes will help you out
Yeah.
here. But what they're going to give you is not enough to go anywhere with the price of housing now.
So eminent domain is going to come.
Eventually, there are some areas that, some of these areas
Yes,
already have,
eminent domain.
eminent domain has already been talked about. They will come in and say, we want an easement. So they will pay you so much for so much of your land, and pretty soon it's all of your land.
Right.
So the way that they took out black communities that were successful years ago was through violence. Now they're doing it through blighting you out, using redevelopment to come in and say, we're going to help you redevelop your area.
Right.
But they don't.
But
And
they
then the
don't.
reason why there's disinvestment, because they talk about disinvestment, is because they say there's no rooftops. Well, how can you have rooftops to substantiate your community when you have to go outside of your community to almost do anything
Right.
because they've taken everything away from you?
And we did a show about this last week, about how long the black dollar stays in our community. And it was, less than 8 hours? It was like 6 hours. 6 hours. And we have to, if we want amenities that are not in our neighborhoods that we can walk to or drive a short distance to, then we have to leave our community in order to.
And our medical, it's the same thing. Look
It's
where
the
our
same
medical
thing.
has gone. You know, we don't have what we had before.
No.
And all of those things were taken out systematically to get us to the point now where, oh, now we're gonna come in and we're gonna be your saviors because we're gonna do all these things, but it's at the cost of the people
Right.
that have stayed here all this time.
But white people are real good at that whole savior complex, so please.
But when we're talking about the Southwest Fresno specific plan, even in this book they talk about sphere of influence. They have now, see what we got to understand is all of the streets has to be widened from Marks all the way back into downtown. Cause they're building underpasses.
Right.
Right there by Smart and Finals and on Tulare. Those are underpasses that they're building. So sphere of influence, they now have a multi-jurisdictional book.
Oh.
This multi-jurisdictional book is from 2023 to 2031. These are the areas and what they're talking about pulling in. Fresno County, Kalinga, Fireball, Fowler, Fresno City, Heron, Kerman, Kingsburg, Mendota, Orange Cove, Paulier, Reedley, San Joaquin, Sanger, and Selma. This is another LA. Everybody has to be in this fight.
And they should be. Because Frisco's not small anymore. We got 500,000 people here. And black people's voices are being drowned out by others. And those that could talk are not talking about the right stuff. These people who are on the steering committee, I'm not bashing them. Everybody's got to live. But this crab in a barrel, only got a finite amount of resources. Is, excuse my language, it's bull.
But Aline, I don't mean to cut you off. That is our problem.
Yes.
You have to make a sacrifice for your community. Everybody want to talk about Martin Luther King. Everybody want to talk about Malcolm X. They did their job.
They sacrificed.
You have to sacrifice. I don't care nothing about you talking about you got to make a living. At what cost? You do not take our community out because you talking about you have to make a living. This is crazy. Your butt going too. Every last one of them because of what is in this paperwork.
See.
I don't have pity on people. I'm not finna pet nobody because you're talking about our elderly people and you're talking about our kids.
Absolutely.
Because that's what we need to be focused on. You focus on these people that's in this book, I could care less. I fault them because you were part of this crap.
Wow.
180 is going to run all the way out into I-5. You're already talking about Kerman.
Yes, already.
Oh yeah,
It's
Kermit
already
is
in black and white.
right there. Yes.
And people are not paying attention to what's going on around them. Have you been out here off of, what do you call Veteran Boulevard?
Yes, I just drove it when they opened. I burned it in '99 at a relative's house. And so I just said, well, let me just, and I didn't know it ran that far.
Yes, it does.
But these are see folks, this is why he is here today, to inform you so you can't say, well, I didn't know, nobody said anything. No, these ladies have been saying the same thing for 20 years. And they need to be heard, they need to be listened to, they need their own show. And I'm just gonna slip it in that Rev is laughing because didn't I say they need their own show? Didn't I say they need their own show in the network? I'm serious because people cannot say, well, there was a meeting, I didn't know. Just like with TCC. Ashley Swearingen used 93706 to get TCC money, and black people did not benefit from that. You had a handful of people who got money, and everybody else got diddly squat. I know for a fact that Freedom School got screwed out of money. We didn't get a dime. They was trying to partner us with Tree Fresno at the last 11th hour and didn't even have the decency to call us up and say, can you come modify your proposal because, Tree Fresno don't want to deal with y'all because you got two different sets of green agriculture that you're dealing with. No, they couldn't do it,
But
Aline, what happened?
This is the crazy part because we talked to everybody that was at that meeting. We told everybody that you're not going to get a dime.
Sure did.
Nobody would listen. We told you you're dealing with people that's coming in with a corporation. They were supposed to be teaching you guys, but that wasn't their plan. Their plan was to pull your business into that corporation because you didn't know how to go after those funds.
Right.
That's what they did. We tried to tell everybody. We tried to tell a young gentleman that had a construction. He said, oh no, they're going to help us. I said, I'm telling you, are you listening to what they're saying? He wasn't listening. He lost his business.
Oh my goodness.
Because he got it. When you get into the corporation, you do not run anything. They take everything away from you. This is what we're saying. We have to realize that we are going to be at stake in our community, in our neighborhood, because we have, I'm going to tell you something, it shouldn't be females. We should have our black males involved.
Yes.
None of them is speaking up. This is a fight we have to have, and everybody, all of these cities, these little counties that we talked about, they're gonna be gone. But as we were saying, out for Grantland, you need to go and look. They have taken out agriculture and started building homes.
They built a new high school out there, huge high school.
That's it.
You
Have you
haven't seen it?
Have you
Yeah,
seen
it's
it?
just
I forget
operating.
the name
It's
of it.
something Chavez, isn't it?
I don't know the
Or
name.
Sanchez or something. It's got a Hispanic, and it's
Wow.
already operational.
It's already operational.
Yes.
These are the things that we talk about on the Black Agenda Network. And Rev is the pastor, the head pastor of a social justice church. So I'm looking for a way to mobilize, because I'm always talking about black unity, and I see the same people in the circles that I run in all the time because we're all speaking the same language. The people that were named here, I had hit and miss with dealing with these people because we don't run in the same circles. So I'm saying all this to say, either we're gonna hang together and get some stuff done in West Fresno, or we gonna hang separately and we're not gonna have a historical black area anymore. And I don't even care if you live across town, as we call it, that's all fine and good, but when you spend your money, you need to be spending it at a black business. You need to be sending your children to programs like Freedom School that's gonna teach them about their heritage and teach them to be proud about it. Why? Because black people built America. And this is a fight to the death. I'm burning daylight here. I'm in my mid-60s. I'm living in my childhood home. I don't want that home to be sold. I want it to stay in my family. I've got 5 nephews who have families of their own. Okay, so that means when I die, when my head gets cold, they need to have somebody living in that house, or they can rent it, or whatever they want to do, but not to sell it.
Now
Not to sell it.
right off of church, I don't know if you guys been over there yet. Over here by Hyatt Park.
Not lately. I haven't.
They have cleaned that land off.
Yeah.
Right over there by Hyatt Park. And they're building houses over there.
This,
huh?
Supposed to be contaminated.
That's it, it is
That's it.
contaminated.
Hello.
But it's not. You, like I say, you can go. It's just that close to you.
I
They
feel a
have-
lawsuit, y'all.
They have cleaned that whole land off all the way out to church.
Yes. And they have the model homes.
Right.
Right over by Legacy, the apartment
So,
off of, where Plumas used to live. Well, they built 3 homes right there so you can drive and you can see them. It's between,
I'm gonna drive by.
at the back end, and then you see where the residential houses start. You take that street, there's 3 houses right there. And they're giving, but then they have the whole area behind that
Right.
opened up for other housing. And they're starting at over 325,000.
Wow.
And so that's not considered
See.
affordable housing.
But it's, wow.
I mean, that's market rate. It's going.
So listening and reading, this started back in 1969.
Yes.
But they said it was, when they started this, they claimed it was a clean slate.
Right, but that wasn't.
No, it wasn't.
So 1969, understand to me, they just didn't wake up out of the bed that morning. So there was planning
Yep.
prior to 1969.
Yep.
Right.
Then when 1969 hit, and they said, okay, go for a breach.
That's when.
But how can we file a class action lawsuit against all of this? Or have we done that already, or what's
No, we haven't. Really, to tell you the truth, they're using federal dollars,
Right.
TCC dollars. It states it in the back of here.
Mm-hmm.
All of that has to be through the Attorney General.
Right.
Because he needs to file a charge. I'm looking at our governor, Newsom, them put in place something that was sick. He shouldn't have never done that. How are you going to take the homeless people and arrest the homeless people off the street when those federal dollars were meant? They had money in there for homeless people.
Wow.
This dates way back when they started giving out block grant dollars.
There's always been money for homeless.
They had money in there for homeless people. Where did that money go?
Well, I know for a fact when Bruce Rudd was the city attorney here in Fresno, the monies came down and he spent the money on salaries
Wow.
for the city. And then that ridiculous baseball stadium that's only used once a year, that money was built out of the redevelopment. Darren Keel was the
Right.
city councilman at that time.
That's
They
it.
had nerves to put his name on a street over off of Viceburg.
Oh, yeah, I know, right by me.
Yeah.
And they took all that funds that was supposed to be for housing and built that baseball stadium.
Yes, it did.
And it's illegal. It's illegal.
And I thought Ron Bonta was supposed to be suing the city of Fresno about that old 41 corridor, and I haven't heard a mumbling word. And Rev and I met with, I can't remember their name, just the two women that run Leadership Council.
Oh,
And we told them, I'm not going to another meeting until y'all sue somebody. I mean, I'm not going to another meeting until I see a lawsuit, because all y'all just getting paid. So you're supporting your own jobs, but the people in Southwest Fresno are still not making any headway.
HUD found out what Bruce Rudd did with that money.
Back in the early 60s or early 70s?
Bruce Rudd, the city attorney that was
The city
under
attorney.
Audrey. HUD found out about what he did, and there's no accountability, and that's what I don't understand
No
about
accountability.
government. They can do illegal stuff. Somebody can do something illegal in our neighborhood, they
Yes.
send the SWAT team.
That's it.
These people can misappropriate money and get away with it, and there's no accountability.
I know what Britta's saying, one of the things,
Okay, the
Let me say this.
ACLU ain't about crap either.
we reached out to them
Yes, we did.
multiple times, and even had people come down and we talked to them and we did all this, and then it was like, oh, it wasn't big enough for them to handle.
No, she said it was too big.
Too big.
She said it was too big for them to handle what was going on. We met with her.
I know for a fact, and this has been at least 5 or 6 years ago, because my mother was still alive.
Yeah.
I remember sending emails to the LA Times, the San Francisco Chronicle, and the Washington Post about the work that you're doing. And I just said, they've got proof, they've got documentation, they have all this. Why can't you run a story about this, blah, 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 blah?
Well,
Nothing.
well, not only that is that it takes, like you said, it takes the community as a whole. I mean, we've been doing things for a long time. I mean, we walked every neighborhood in West Fresno. It took us 2.5 years.
Yep.
And we would hand out flyers, 200 flyers, putting them on doors, handing them to people, putting their hands or leaving it on their gate, telling them about the meetings to come out. And if you'll notice, our meetings kept getting moved because they were at a community center here, and then for some reason there's a problem, we can't use it anymore.
Right.
We were downtown at the library for years before they started doing something else there. So we've constantly had to move our locations. But one of the things that we do, and it takes more than just us, is that we have created some issues with mismanagement of funds, because we go to HUD, we write to HUD, we write to Washington, we write to the presidents, whoever they've all been. We've gone to the governors, all the governors that we've had in California since this started.
Right.
We've tried to meet with Schwarzenegger, we started to meet with Brown, we tried to meet with Newsom. I mean, those are people, we delivered documents to their offices and got nothing. We've sent letters to the Black Caucus in Washington. We've sent them to the Black Caucus in Sacramento.
That's it.
We've done all those things.
Right.
But sometimes we get lucky, and we have gone, somebody at a meeting in Sacramento, I think, told us, if you want the hammer, Inspector General is the person you need to write to. We did. We came in one time, we wrote a letter, never heard back. At a meeting at City Hall, and somebody said, sitting behind us said, he has landed. We had no idea what that meant. And then that was in December, front page of the Fresno Beat, mismanagement of city funds by them. That was HUD taking over, because there was a young black person that worked at HUD that covered this area. He came down and he did audit. And after that audit hit, he got moved out of this area.
Wow.
And then the other option was we kept fighting it, and then we sent the letter to the Inspector General. And in 2015, they came in, they evaluated the situation, they looked back at that audit and before it and then after it, and they were still doing the same thing. And the city's response to HUD in San Francisco is, take it out of the next CDBG funding. But the question is, why would we want you to take money from money you misappropriated,
Right.
that the community didn't benefit, and we're gonna lose money again because that's how you wanna pay it back?
So it's a double loss.
Well, the Inspector General said it had to come back not out of federal dollars. They said the city had to pay it back, and do you know, to this day, the last time I went to a HUD meeting, they still had not resolved that.
And the insulting part is Newsom brings his behind down here just about all the time.
And so does Bobby.
And he has not.
Got about 6 minutes.
We have asked to meet with him with this paperwork for him to do something. He's hollering about the homeless people. Those homeless people should be living in mansions, especially the money that comes from the block grant fund. There's money for homeless people. They shouldn't be homeless. You got warehouses. You got other stuff that you can renovate. You can renovate those warehouses and put it almost like you have at high school. You can put a shower in there. You can put beds in there for these people. They do not have to be like, it is solvable if you want to solve it.
Somebody's getting their pockets lined, is what it is. But do you remember me telling you about that podcast that Miguel Arias and 2 so-called housing experts were in on? And he said, we spent $8.5 million renovating all these hotels and motels and all this. And when I came on board, there were only 30 homeless beds, and now there's 840. And I don't have a problem with spending money, but when a homeless person tells me they don't want to transition to permanent housing because it's in, an older neighborhood or a neighborhood they consider run down, and I'm thinking to myself, well, gee, if a homeless person has drug addiction problems or mental health problems or something like that, I can't imagine why they wouldn't want to go back to the neighborhood that triggered all this stuff. They want to go somewhere else. And I'm thinking, this is bull, because you're not trying hard enough. They were supposed to renovate the old Valley Medical Center. That still hasn't happened. That could house hundreds of people. And it still hasn't happened. So I'm hoping that what these sister warriors have talked about today is going to light a fire under some of you. I'm hoping that you will not only join HEAP, but that you will get involved and want to stay involved, because it takes a certain kind of passion to do this kind of work. If you have not done anything else in the last year, you need to get behind this, because as I say, either we're going to hang together with some black unity on this, or we're going to hang separately, and we won't have anything. So, Rev, did you have anything that you wanted to ask the ladies? Because they've laid it all out for us, y'all. Get a copy of the Southwest Pacific Plan. You can get it at City Hall. And I'm not sure about the floor that they need to go to. The second floor, yes.
In the city, or in our city council office.
Or the city council office. And you can get a copy. I didn't pay for mine. I got a copy. I wish I had brought it with me. That would have been the smart thing to do. But this is real life stuff. This is disenfranchisement. This is taxation without representation. Because I know if I don't pay my property taxes, they're going to be coming for me.
And it's also, they're going to say you can go online to the city and see it if you don't have time to go down there, whatever. It's online, they can pull it up.
It's online, you can pull it up. So for all of you who are not tech savvy, because I know I'm not, get your grandkids to pull it up for you. And if you can print it out. If not, just go ahead on and read it, because the information that's being presented to you, this is a no-brainer to me as a black person living in Fresno, California. Reverend Harris?
Well, it's like this city, unfortunately, creates problems,
That's what they've done.
generate problems, and generate blight, and then blame the people why they mismanage the money.
Right.
When you have attorney generals and people like that who's supposed to be watchdog over stuff, not watching anything,
I'm watching it.
but the politics just stinks. It just stinks. I mean, Bruce Rudd should have went to jail,
Yeah, he should.
prison for mismanaging all that money that was allocated from HUD. When HUD did that audit, they're like, where all the money go? He spent it on salaries at City Hall.
That's right.
And so it's like, and then now we deal from 1969, folks back then. And it's like these people think
Far ahead.
Far ahead.
Yes.
Way far ahead. So that means they was thinking about this in 1960 or 59, trying to put all the nuts and
Right.
bolts together. And then
And that was
69 hit.
during the time when they had all the rendering plants over here. So you're right.
And it's like, yeah, it's just interesting to me how I'm told that Darling has closed down. That's what I'm told, right? But I still
Is it
smell
operational?
stuff.
It's not, and then they were supposed to move, remember?
Right.
And then Darling wanted taxpayers to pay for their move to go out to the water plant. I said, that's the most ridiculous thing. But then it was crazy because my grandma, Sweetie, lived in Walnut Gardens by Hunt's. Right? So in the summertime around 12 o'clock, you always smelled that dead smell right through the swamp coolers we had at the time. And Miss Whittle, my auntie, they filed that lawsuit against Darling over there, right? But Darling was annexed into the city, and then the air quality board, another supposed to be watchdog,
Exactly.
and then the city code enforcement had no training, no jurisdiction. It was just a mess, and it's like we constantly keep getting, I'm gonna say this word, pimped and ran over, and it's like, and like I said, and then the college come. I said, well, how in the world are you gonna build a college by a cesspool, right? And then by Edison, which is one of the top-notch companies in the country, and then you build a middle school by a place that's selling, and then across the street, now they're building houses on top of a contaminated land that had batteries built up on it, and then buried, and then Hyde Park is just a bomb to be exploded, because it has no vents in it, and so it's like, where do it stop? So that's why I was asking about the class action lawsuit, because it's like, that's the only thing they understand. It's like when you hit it in the pocket, but if the attorney general is not gonna file the suit, then it's like,
wow.
But that's his job. That's their job. And everybody talk about environmental. What you have to understand, that environmental comes under the governor's office. So everybody better realize that. We have the paperwork. All of that comes under the governor's office.
Y'all need to remember this when you're voting. Need to remember it when you're voting, because we do have power, we just don't exercise it. And we're not consistent. You can't do a hit and miss. You're doing something right now, and then 6 months later it's like, oh well, I already tried that, and then no. Malcolm, Martin were the blueprint. You got to keep going. Jesus Christ was the blueprint. Well, Sister Brunette talks about sacrifice. This is part of that journey. You got to do it. Stop. What if our ancestors had gave up and said, "Oh, I'm too tired to fight for my freedom and my voting rights and my civil rights"? None of us would be here. We were already been exterminated, and Lord knows they tried.
Well, one last thing.
No, there's gonna be two last things.
No. Oh, two last things. I wanted to say, one last thing I wanted to say. How do you build a college in a community where you give statistics that we are the dumbest people in the state of California? Do you know how many cities in the state of California? Do you know how many counties in the state of California? How do you take one little piece out of the state of California and you put those statistics there and say we don't have the ability, education, is the ability to do the things, to have your medical, to do everything that you need. How do you build a college in our area for our kids to attend when we don't have enough knowledge to take care of ourselves? How do you put something in our community like that?
See, that's how I wanted to end it, is that not only is it the city of Fresno and our politicians and whatever, but our educational system right here in Fresno is not doing their job. Because how can you say from 1969 or whatever, our educational status is that low, but you haven't done anything to improve it?
Exactly.
So it's a combination of a lot of different things all involved, which we have not been able to control. And whenever we get someone in to represent us, then they kind of go to the side on something else. But it's the city, it's our school system, and it's our local government, because you got the county involved, and then you talk about Sacramento.
So that's.
And then you got to deal with Washington,
Yes.
because that's where the bulk of the money's coming from. So if you can't make your regional HUD office in San Francisco understand
Exactly.
what's going on and why the funding needs to be stopped because they're not using it the way they're supposed to, and why are you allowing it to take 20 years or from 2012 to 2022 that you can't give me an answer of how that money's been paid back.
And folks, this is why it is so important to educate your children on their own, because we already have seen Fresno Unified is not going to educate our kids. You had better take that in hand and, send them to Freedom School if you want, because we're going to tell you the straight skinny. But they're not being given the tools to succeed in life, and that's okay with the city of Fresno and apparently the state of Fresno, California, and all of this. But anyway, Reverend Harris, do you have any closing words?
I just like to state what Nana said about the statistics and things like that. But one more statistic, he probably in his book been talking about the lifespan of those living in this district. It's 20 years less than those living in
That's
other
right.
districts. And it's like you how could that be? It's a lifespan. Life, come on, living.
Right.
Smelling.
Right.
When you're smelling toxins and all this stuff. And it's like, who cares? I wrote an article about who cares about you all dying over there, while those live up north own the companies down here that's polluting and all this stuff. And it's like, it's ridiculous. How can folks come to the meetings or their contact information or?
I wrote it down for you. It's the second Saturday of the month, and it's at Larry Burris Enterprise, and the address is right there.
2745 North Hughes, Fresno, California 93705.
It's off of Clinton and Hughes.
Clinton
and Weber, you know how it divides?
Clinton
In
Weber.
Hughes, yes.
Second Saturday at 9 a.m. 2745 North Hughes, Fresno, California 93705. Is there a number that they can call someone or just show up?
Just show up.
Just
show up.
It's every second Saturday.
We set up tables and chairs for however many people can come, and we can set up more if more come.
Excellent.
Okay, so the next one is in November,
Right.
the second Saturday at 9 o'clock.
Right.
So there you have it, folks. All of you all over the world in Fresno. I'm sure that even when I went to Louisiana, there was something called the Cancer Corridor, full of factories and just killing our people. And I went to a little city and I asked the people, I said, what is that smell? And it was burning my nose. And I said, well, it's just a house for sale over there. He said, you don't want to buy that house. He said, because this is called Cancer Corridor. It was in Louisiana. I'll never forget it. It was like probably 40 miles of factories. And it was this little bitty community, black community, right by that factory that was giving our people cancer. They were dying. The water was contaminated. And I just talked to a few people in the neighborhood. And I was like, I couldn't believe how Dr. Saxton, she has a colleague that did research on it for the thesis. And it's like, it's criminal. It's like, how can supposedly policy supposed to be helping people, hurting people?
Well, this is how the new Jim Crow is gonna work, Jim Crow 2.0.
Right.
And they've been working on this since the first Jim Crow. They've come up with new ways to kill us, so.
But
And could
go ahead.
I say something?
Sure.
I just want to bring back to our remembrance what Robert Hunt always said. They are coming after the golden west side of Fresno, West Fresno. She was an advocate for that for years. She was constantly telling the community,
Yes.
they want your community. This is the gold that Fresno wants.
Yes.
And I want to say again, let us remember how our ancestors always brought the community together. Let our churches that have our congregations, our people that live in the community, our churches is the catalyst for bringing our people into the knowledge of what's happening in their community. They need to know.
They need to know.
They need to know.
And there you have it, folks. So I'm going to take this moment to thank our sisters from HEAT. Thank them for their knowledge and all the work that they've done. Don't be a stranger. Go to the meeting second Saturday that's coming up at Larry Burris Enterprises. And I'm going to say what I always say. We want y'all to stay black until we get back with you.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hey, how you doing, sir?
Oh, man.